On today's video, we're going to look at the top 10 best women in the Pasco County Jail that you can bail out right now. I just got an email from Larry. He says, Jose, I saw your video about the bad girls in Tampa jail. I'm in Pasco County. I've had a hard time finding a good, affordable woman to date. Could you please do a video on about some good options in Pasco County Jail? I'm sure you can find some good reusable items in the recycle bin for me. I will trust your better judgment on this. The last few women I have picked up from the Goodwill were honestly not salvageable. Thanks for bringing awareness to counties not wanting to publish arrest records in Florida. How are guys like me going to find dates if they get rid of these dating sites? Yeah, Larry, I can totally understand. Some of these counties in Florida right now have stopped publishing their arrest records, like St. Johns County, claiming that people are using these websites for not intended purposes, like scamming people. But there are so many useful purposes to these images of inmates and their informations. And I'm going to tell you, Larry, when it comes to Pasco County, it really isn't a dating friendly website. The Pasco County Jail does not list the weight of these women. So if you're bailing a girl out, she could be a big hog and you're not going to know that. So thankfully, counties like Hillsborough do list the weight and the height of these females, so you know what type of dimensions you're dealing with. But unfortunately, like I said, the Pasco County inmate rooster really is not dating friendly. So I'm going to do the best I can for you, but you might want to get a treadmill ready just in case my judgment isn't all there. Because when it comes to finding good quality used women from county jails, I'm an expert on that. But when it comes to, like judging weight by a photo, I can be off on that. But like I said, nothing a treadmill can't fix. And Larry, we're going to have to hurry up and make this video right away because a lot of these counties in Florida have stopped publishing their arrest records, stating that people are making videos and using the information for all types of non-intended purposes. And really, I don't really see that happening very often. I think most YouTube creators like myself are responsible and are using this information for good purposes like today's video. So let's get started. These are top 10 most affordable women that you can bail out right now from the Pasco County Jail. And it's a good thing that Larry is looking for affordability, because when it comes to Pasco County, quality, if you're looking for a little baddie, you're better off looking in the Hillsborough County Jail, because when it comes to Pasco County, it's more of a budget-friendly county. So it's a good thing that what he's looking for is exactly what you're going to find in the Pasco County Jail. And it's important to understand the market and the going rate right now for women getting locked up. If you want a young girl, under 25, 26, you're going to have to cash out at least $1,000, Larry. And these are violent offenders. A lot of these women are going to fight back. They're not going to be friendly. So I'm going to put you in the 30s range for the most part. That's going to bring you to a more affordable budget of around $500 to bail them out, since most of these young hotshot girls, the types of crimes they're getting, are going to have higher bail amounts. And Larry, this isn't just about looks. If a woman is useful, she can be very valuable to the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. For example, they currently have a $500,000 bail on Marilu over a simple bench warrant situation because she has some clerical abilities, and they got her, doing all the paperwork for all the inmates that come in and out. So you have to understand that these counties understand a high value woman, and any woman that can do front desk work is usually not going to get a low bail. If they're going in there for possession charges or for stealing DVDs or something, those types of women are going to have a low bail. But when a Hispanic woman, her 30s or 40s, that has worked at a front desk or at a dental office comes in, they're going to get a high bail because the jail needs these people. So any woman that has any real skills or ability that are useful for the Pasco County Jail, there's not a chance in the world they're going to get out. Number 1, Larry, meet Ashley Rebecca Coilier. She's got a $15,000 bond. And I know that sounds like a lot of money for a 39-year-old burglar, but Larry, don't just be fooled by looks and appearances. When you look at a woman, it isn't just the superficial, the exterior. You have to look at a woman's ability and potential. And a skilled burglar like her has unlimited potential. And don't let that $15,000 bond scare you. You can probably get her out the door for $8,000 or $9,000 with the right people. And again, it's what you're getting in return. An experienced burglar And Larry, there's a lot of security with paying a higher bond. When you pay $15,000 to get a woman out of jail, she knows that's a real commitment. Versus when a woman has a low bail, she might run off on you. But this is an experienced burglar. It's not her first rodeo. It's not her first time getting bailed out. And she understands that you put up a substantial investment in her, and she's going to get to hitting licks right off the bat for you. Number 2 is April Susan. For only $1,000, you can take home a homeless woman who was arrested for trespassing in her early 40s. Now, $1,000 is still a lot of money to dish out for a woman who has very little potential, but being in her low 40s, there's a good potential area that she's starting to settle down, and she isn't just thinking about hitting the pipe all the time. This is a woman who's going to want to do some burglaries, some robberies, maybe even let you use her name at the pawn shop if you're pawning something that's stolen, Larry. So there's a lot of potential here. Risk factor at her age, she may have some old accomplices and boyfriends, and she could disappear overnight. Maybe not the first night or two, but eventually she may figure out what's going on and get moving. So $1,000, that's what you get in Pasco County, Florida. Number 3, Larry meet Ashley. For $500, this woman in her 30s is an absolute steal. She was arrested for domestic battery, and this guy still hasn't bailed her out. Now, Larry, you know with the Pasco County Jail, you're not getting a height and you're not getting a weight. But like I said, I'm pretty sure you understand the treadmill process. This is a steal. As long as she's under 280 pounds, it's a go. But don't let the affordable entry price fool you, Larry. You wouldn't believe how much a girl this big can eat. And if you don't feed her, she's got violent tendencies. That's probably why the last guy got beat up. So there's definitely some questionable attributes about something you're only paying $500 for. And don't get me wrong, these big women are good cleaners. They're loving, they're cuddling. Look, I got a big one here at home, and they are very good to have around the house. But Larry, the cost will eat you alive in the long run. And Larry, this is kind of like buying a car with a salvage title. In Pasco County, you don't get a height, you don't get a weight. It's a complete mystery box. Now, if you go to a county that takes measurements and weighs the girls for you and gives you all that information, usually they're going to want a premium for the finer specimens. Number 4, meet Flora. Now, her bail is only $500. Get this, Larry, she's only 26 years old, and her charge is only paraphernalia. This is the type of charge you could easily beat, and with a $500 bond amount, Larry, this is a steal. Now, I know she looks like she's 66 years old, Larry, but of course, there's a lot of potential here. So this is like, I don't know, like buying a car at an auction, not knowing what's wrong with it, but, you know, it could be a surprise. So this one's very risky, but the price is affordable. And of course, at 26 years old, she's still within the warranty period. If you don't like it, you could probably get your money back. Number 5 is Jennifer Louie. And let me tell you, there's about $10,000 worth of fees to pay to get this one out the door. She's in her 40s. Look at this mugshot. For being in her 40s, she doesn't look bad. And this one's pretty straightforward, Larry. She likes to steal guns. So you're going to pay $10,000, but you got a woman in her 40s who likes to steal guns. There's no surprises here. This is pretty straightforward. You're paying a good price tag, but you don't have to deal with all the drama that comes with a younger woman screaming and none of that. You got a woman in her 40s that's mature. She knows exactly what she's doing with her criminal career. Number 6 is 21-year-old Jashantis. She's been released. I mean, you just got to find her. So, yeah, finding her takes a lot of work. So this is one of those things where, hey, you know, there's no upfront costs, but, man, you just got to put in the footwork to find her. She's out there somewhere in Pasco County. And, well, sometimes you can just find a woman on the streets and not have to bail her out. And Larry, like the traditional method of finding a woman on the streets, getting to know her, and just starting a normal relationship can still be done in 2025. You don't always have to resort to looking at arrest records to find a good woman. I guess the only real downside of this, Larry, is now you have a lot more competition on the free world. And Larry, if you're looking for a young black female, most of the time when you bail them out and you're a complete stranger, they're going to be creeped the crap out. So don't think you're going to, invest all this money into a woman and she's guaranteed going to be loyal because you got her out of jail, Larry. She might be creeped the crap out. Number 7, now this white female of 47 years old has also been released. Larry, she's the right race for you. She's about in your age group, and she was arrested for domestic battery. She's a feisty one. Now, don't think she's going to go running back to the same dude she was with. Maybe it just isn't going to work out after she beat the crap out of him. You got the potential to deal with a very feisty woman, but hey, you don't always have to pay up front. You can find a woman who's being released for a domestic charge. Maybe things aren't going to work out with the old boyfriend, and this could be your ticket through a very scary and dangerous situation that will definitely be affordable. And Larry, I noticed your last name was Hal. The whole race thing's it's pretty bad right now, you know? You get a woman your age, your race, it's going to be a lot nicer to introduce her to your race's family up north in Ocala versus having to deal with a young black girl who, hey, may not take the same reception when you take her to Ocala to meet your racist backward family members who've been inbreeding for hundreds of years. Now, Larry, number 8 has a lot of potential. She's a Lauren, and Laurens usually hold more value. That's an English name. It's not like a Brittany or an Amanda. Those are trashy names. Lauren just holds better on paper. She's 30 years old. She's a felon who was released on some type of gun theft charges. So, you know, if you can track this one down right here, you got yourself a prize win. But unfortunately, unlike other counties that provide an inmate's address so you can track her down, phone number, family members who you can scam, and even her social security number in case you want to start some type of fraud thing. You know, St. Johns County used to offer all that to people. Pasco County doesn't offer any of that, but the chances that you're going to find her at a pawn shop early Monday morning from doing some robberies on the weekend is high. So if you stay outside the pawn shops, you run into this one's a keeper. And then keep in mind that Laurens are not friendly. This isn't an Amanda. This isn't a Rose. This isn't a Tiffany. She's going to have a little bit more attitude and a little bit more finesse. So you just got to go with the flow. And keep in mind, usually Laurens have very aggressive boyfriends. They can anticipate that, but you as a stalker may not realize how many other creepy guys are out there. Number 9 is a 21-year-old female with a $5,000 bond. Burglary. Larry, I know what you're thinking. She's going to steal everything, and you're probably right, but at the end of the day, there's almost no chance that this girl's actually going to stick around with an old creepy guy like you. Now, Larry, with $5,000, you can get 10 cheaper white women. So if you want a young Hispanic girl and are willing to pay that $5,000 bail, just know in the back of your mind, it's the equivalent of 10 white women with serious addiction problems. So number 10, our final option, Larry, is Madeline Francis. Now, she was arrested for driving and knowingly driving with a driver's license that was suspended. She's 41 years old, but look at all the arrows pointing at her race. She's white, Larry. She's affordable. She's white. And all she wanted to do was drive her car. This isn't a needle junkie. She's not going to go on robberies. This is the type of chick that just wants to drive somewhere. You were telling me earlier you wanted to start a YouTube channel. Having a white woman that likes to drive can get your YouTube channel going places. It's a good investment. It's affordable. Yeah, she's a little chubby. Yeah, she's in her 40s. She's white. She's affordable. And all she wants to do is drive. You get her driver's license in order, and you got yourself a white, morbidly obese chauffeur that will drive you to every drive-through in town. Again, when you get these chubby white women, it's not the upfront cost that's going to kill you. It's the long-term investment. But if she's willing to drive for hours endlessly, you can get her driving Uber Eats. You can get her doing Uber. The potential for a white woman that likes to drive is endless, Larry. Now, most guys, when they're bailing a girl out, they want some excitement. They want some adventure. But Larry, let me tell you, out of all the women that I've looked at on today's list, her criminal charges are the most understandable. Her license got suspended and she just wants to drive. It's a reasonable thing for a woman to do, to want to drive. Larry, I'm not sure if maybe she's a bad driver. I mean, there's definitely all types of variables to this situation, but this is the type of criminal charge you can work with, and it's not embarrassing to explain to a future employer why. Why did she get arrested? Driver's license suspended. It's something you can explain to an employer. There's a lot of potential here. She's 41 years old, white, and if you get that treadmill, you can still get her down to under 200 pounds. Now, I'm not going to tell you that she's going to get under 200 pounds, but you can at least be optimistic. We've all heard the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Well, let me tell you, if you lead a fat girl to Burger King or the buffet, she's going to eat everything she can. Alright everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This was definitely something different for the masses. Now, when we look at these arrest reports, there are definitely some people, when I looked through these arrest reports, that I felt like they really made some big mistakes and ruined their lives. I know today's video is kind of just a parody, it's comedy, but I do want to show you guys some of the arrest reports that I found in Pasco County that were kind of, well, depressing. A lot of people really throw their lives away. One mistake, your whole life is thrown out the window. And I'm going to share with you guys a few arrest reports of people who are in exactly that predicament. They made a mistake and now their entire lives have been practically thrown away. And one thing that I found interesting about Pasco County, and every county is different. Every county has different incomes, different cultures, different things going on, and it leads people to commit different mistakes. In the case of Pasco County, particularly with female inmates, there's a lot of females who have hurt other people seriously, even ended people unnecessarily. And every county has different tendencies. I just did this video for Tampa, a little bit different of an angle on the video, but the video for Tampa was one of those videos where I realized that there's a lot of women in Tampa that like to exploit other people for monetary purposes. But here in Pasco County, there just seems to be a lot of very neglectful women who hurt other people out of negligence. So every county has its own characteristics, and this is a problem in Pasco County. So shifting out of comedy and looking at some serious cases out of Pasco County, because I do want you guys to get something meaningful out of today's video other than just hysterical comedy. This is important for you guys to know that while looking through the Pasco County arrest records, I did find things that were just like, wow, they really messed up. I think the most touching story that I found is this one of a girl called Jasmine. At just 25 years old, she is responsible for a DUI accident that cost the death of an unborn child. Now this destroys the life of Jasmine, her future, and it also absolutely destroys the parents of this unborn child who had the illusion of seeing a baby born, and now they can't because of this horrific accident. If you've ever been on US 19, you'll notice that there's always somebody driving drunk on that highway, and law enforcement doing the best they can to stop those people before they hurt somebody. Unfortunately, these accidents happen. When you get behind the wheel drinking, you might not think that the consequences are going to be more than a DUI or a suspended license. But in the case of this young girl, she's going to have to live with this horrendous responsibility for the rest of her life. And I don't know what this type of charge takes. If it's a typical manslaughter, it could be 7 to 15. But even after she does that time, she's going to have to live with her conscience that she ruined the dreams and aspirations of somebody forever. I hope that the victims can find it at least possible to forgive her at some point. I can't imagine the overwhelming pain that these people must feel by her actions. So when you get behind the wheel drinking and driving, you might think it's just a simple charge, like $500, and you get bailed out. Then something like this happens, and a lot of lives are destroyed, and a lot of tears are brought to people. So think twice before you get behind the wheel drunk. In Pasco County, an Uber driver costs $7 to $15 at most. Most Uber drivers are weird and creepy like Larry, but a lot of Uber drivers are fun people, and you might actually enjoy the experience of having somebody else drive you home drunk. It's fun. I get drunk people all the time, and we have a great time, great conversations. Some Uber drivers suck, but if you get a driver like me, it might be somebody cool you can talk to and hang out and actually make your money's worthwhile. This situation should prove it as an example to people. When you get behind the wheel, you can have extraordinary consequences if you're drinking. So, as sad as her story is, may we learn something from it. They've brought an amount of pain to this family that I can't even imagine. And then she threw away her life practically. So, it's a huge loss for everybody involved. This is Jada. Now, she did this type of charge right here. Usually you think guys are the ones that do these types of crimes, but looking through the arrest records in Pasco County, and a lot of young females are being charged with this crime that leaves you registered. And if you're a babysitter, I don't have no idea how these scenarios play out, like family members or friends or babysitters, but just keep in mind that these females in Pasco County have a tendency towards this situation. So just be careful out there for family, because surprisingly, quite a few females in Pasco are being charged with this crime. I think disproportionately more than somewhere else. I don't know if it's the fact that it's high population density, affordable housing. I don't know what it is about the specifics of Pasco County, but this is a very common situation. Many times the perpetrators are females. That's a thing here in Pasco County. Cassandra was negligent and it led to the loss of somebody under 18. This is another very common thing. I couldn't believe how many females I saw in Pasco County who did some very neglectful things to other people. So this seems to be a thing here, and she's very young, so she's now throwing her life away as well. I mean, I don't know what it is about Pasco County, but the females here seem very neglectful. I study a lot of arrest reports for my videos and to be informed about what's going on. And there seems to be among the female population a serious level of neglect for other people. So if you're in Pasco County, just remember that the women here don't give a crap about anybody other than themselves. So Larry, you might be in for a very tough situation. Of course, being imprisoned is one of the lowest moments in a person's life. And that's why I picked on people with small crimes, small bails, and I'm giving you guys a serious message with the people who had more serious crimes, because after all, we want to learn from their mistakes. And again, being arrested is one of the lowest points in somebody's life. So if you're one of the unfortunate women featured on today's video, I hope you're laughing with us and know that we're not laughing at you. And unfortunately, being arrested also gets posted on the internet, and sometimes the way that gets used is kind of the topic of today's video. So do you personally think that arrest records should be made public? It's a hot topic right now in the state of Florida. I personally believe that when somebody gets arrested, it's important to know who they are. I keep track of people that I know, and when they get arrested, I know they're going through something difficult. I think it's actually important that we keep these arrest records public. But now the state of Florida, a lot of these counties are starting to make it where you can't look up the arrest records, or you have to know so much information about the person before you can look them up. Obviously, counties like Tampa even include the personal address of the person being arrested. I think that's a little bit too much information for the public. I do think that the counties that list exactly the person's address is way too much, because me, myself, a YouTuber, if I were to get arrested, the last thing I would want is for thousands of people to see my address. I think that's too much information. I think some of these counties like Hillsborough that include the person's address are just going too far. A lot of these counties like Charlotte County include the country of birth. Now, I was born in another country, and I love the feature of being able to know if somebody was born in another country when they get arrested. But at the end of the day, including the address, I believe is way too much information. And I think knowing their nationality is interesting, and I think we should know their nationality. That's the way I look at these arrest reports. I think it's important that every person that gets arrested, we get enough information about their arrest, but not too much information. I think the address is going way too far. A lot of people don't want their faces on the internet when they get arrested. Well, one way to make sure that doesn't happen is to not break the law. And then there is public safety. I believe that each and every one of us should be able to know what type of crimes are happening in our community. For example, in Naples, Florida, they include the zip code of the person where they were arrested. So you don't get their exact address, but you know the zip code, and that leads to public safety. I think we should all know what's happening in our communities, but I think there's also a limit. I think that the county of Hillsborough County, including the person's address, I think that's a little bit too far. Sarasota County does that as well, but it's also a deterrent to people who are famous, who think they're going to move to some of these counties. I know a few famous people have got arrested in these counties, and their address gets put on the internet, and then they move right away. It's kind of a deterrent for people that, hey, if you come to our county and you're going to break the law, people are going to know who you are. But then again, everything with a measurement. Where do you guys draw the line? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I also think that it's kind of the news without the agenda. You just get to see who got arrested and why. No storylines, no nothing. Here's the person, here's the charges. This is what they did. It's journalism at its finest. Complete transparency, no agenda. I love looking at arrest records. I do it quite often.